Have you ever imagined that a poor kid with almost no education could grow up to become one of the most powerful leaders in history? No fancy school, no money, no easy life. Just a boy reading borrowed books by candlelight, night after night, dreaming bigger than his circumstances. What if I told you this quiet, self-taught learner didn't just change his own life? He changed an entire nation forever? Today, you're not just practicing English. You're stepping into the true story of resilience, mindset, and leadership. The journey of Abraham Lincoln. Stay with this story, because the lesson he learned might completely change how you see your own future. Exploring the early life of Abraham Lincoln, he was born on February 12, 1809. He was born in Kentucky. Kentucky is a state in America, holding a special place in American history. His home was very small. It was a log cabin, which is why he is often called the log cabin president. A log cabin is a house made from wood. The cabin had only one room. Abraham's family was poor. His father was a farmer. His mother was kind and gentle. Abraham had one sister. Her name was Sarah. Life was not easy for Abraham's family. They did not have much food. They did not have much money. Abraham's father worked very hard on the farm. Abraham helped his father. Even as a small boy, Abraham worked. He carried water. He helped with animals. He cut wood for the fire. The work was hard, but Abraham was strong. Abraham loved his mother very much. Her name was Nancy. Nancy told Abraham stories. She taught him to be kind. She taught him to be honest. Abraham listened to everything his mother said. He remembered her words his whole life. Nancy wanted Abraham to learn. She wanted him to read, but there were no schools nearby. There were very few books. This made learning difficult. During the next chapter of the Abraham Lincoln childhood, when he was 7 years old, his family moved. They moved to Indiana. Indiana is another state in America. They moved because his father wanted better land for their frontier life. The journey was long and hard. They traveled through forests. They traveled through rivers. Finally, they arrived at their new home. Abraham's father built another log cabin. The family started a new life in Indiana. 2 years later, something terrible happened. Abraham's mother became sick. She had milk sickness. This was a dangerous disease. There was no medicine. Nancy became weaker and weaker. Abraham watched his mother suffer. He felt very sad. He could not help her. In 1818, Nancy died. Abraham was only 9 years old. His heart was broken. He missed his mother every day. This sadness stayed with Abraham for many years. After his mother died, life became harder. Abraham's father could not take care of the children alone. He needed help. So 1 year later, Abraham's father married again. His new wife was named Sarah Bush Johnston. She was a widow and she had 3 children from her first marriage. Now Abraham had a stepmother and step-siblings. Abraham was worried at first, but Sarah was wonderful. Sarah was kind to Abraham. She loved him like her own son. She saw that Abraham was special. She saw that he loved to learn, which is a great lesson for anyone focusing on improving English vocabulary. Sarah brought books to the house. She encouraged the start of the Abraham Lincoln education. She protected his time for learning. Abraham was very grateful. He loved his stepmother. She changed his life. With Sarah's help, Abraham could follow his dreams. Abraham went to school sometimes, but the schools were very simple. They were called blab schools. In these schools, students repeated lessons out loud, much like how we repeat words to learn English naturally. Abraham did not go to school for very long. Maybe he went for 1 year in total. But Abraham did not stop learning. He became one of the most famous self-taught historical figures. He taught himself. He borrowed books from neighbors. He walked miles to get a book. He read every book he could find. Abraham loved books about history. He loved books about law. He read the Bible many times. He read a book about George Washington. He read a book about mathematics. Every book taught him something new. Abraham read slowly and carefully. He thought about every word. He wanted to understand everything deeply. Sometimes he wrote things down. He wrote on boards. He wrote on the ground with sticks. Paper was too expensive. Abraham also loved to tell stories. He remembered funny stories from books. He told these stories to his friends and family. People loved to listen to the boy who would eventually be known as Honest Abe. He made them laugh. He made them think. Abraham learned that words had power. Good words could change how people felt. Good words could make people understand new ideas. This discovery was very important for Abraham's future. As Abraham grew older, he became very tall. He was more than 6 feet tall. This was unusual at that time in United States history. Most people were shorter. Abraham was also very thin. He was very strong because of farm work, but he looked different from other people. Some people made jokes about how he looked. This hurt Abraham's feelings sometimes, but he learned to laugh at himself. He learned to be humble. He learned that appearance was not important. Character was important. Abraham worked many different jobs as a young man. He split logs to make fences. This was hard physical work. He helped build a flatboat. A flatboat is a simple boat for rivers. He traveled down the Mississippi River on this boat. He saw new places. He saw New Orleans. In New Orleans, Abraham saw something that shocked him, revealing the dark history of slavery in America. He saw slaves being sold. Slaves were people who were forced to work without freedom. They were treated like property. This made Abraham feel sick inside. He never forgot what he saw. He promised himself that slavery was wrong. When Abraham was 22 years old, his family moved again. They moved to Illinois. Illinois became Abraham's home for the rest of his life. Abraham started to think about his future. He did not want to be a farmer forever. He wanted to do something different. He wanted to use his mind. He wanted to help people. This led to the start of the Abraham Lincoln law career. He decided to study law. Law is the system of rules in a country. Lawyers help people with legal problems. But Abraham had no money for law school. So he taught himself. He borrowed law books. He read them carefully. He studied every day. He asked questions to lawyers he met. He learned everything he could. After several years of hard work, the future 16th President of the United States became a lawyer. He passed the test. Now he could work in courts. He could help people solve problems. Abraham was a good lawyer. He was honest. He was fair. People trusted him. He worked in Springfield, Illinois. Springfield was the capital city of Illinois. Abraham built a reputation. A reputation is what people think about you. People said Abraham was a man of strong character. They said he always told the truth. They said he worked hard for justice. These qualities made Abraham successful. Abraham also became interested in politics. This marked the beginning of the Abraham Lincoln political career. Politics is about government and leadership. Abraham believed he could help his community. He believed he could make life better for people. So he decided to run for office. He wanted to become a representative. A representative is someone who speaks for the people. Abraham gave speeches. He talked to voters. He explained his ideas. People liked Abraham. They liked his honesty. They liked his simple way of speaking. In 1834, Abraham was elected to the Illinois state legislature. He was only 25 years old. Around this time, Abraham met a woman who would become Mary Todd Lincoln. Mary was from a wealthy family. She was educated. She was interested in politics. Abraham and Mary talked for many hours. They shared ideas. They fell in love. But their relationship was not easy. They had different backgrounds. Mary's family did not approve at first. Abraham and Mary separated for a while, but their love was strong. In 1842, they got married. They built a life together in Springfield. Abraham and Mary had 4 sons. Their names were Robert, Edward, William, and Thomas. Abraham loved his children very much. He played with them. He told them stories. He was a gentle father, but tragedy came to their family. Edward died when he was only 3 years old. Later, William died when he was 11. These losses broke Abraham's heart. He and Mary suffered greatly, but they continued forward. They held on to each other. Abraham continued his work in politics. He served in the United States Congress for 1 term. Congress is the national government. Abraham spoke against slavery. He believed slavery was morally wrong. He believed all people should be free. But many people disagreed with him. Slavery was an important part of the economy in the South. Southern states had large farms called plantations. These plantations used slave labor. The country was divided on this issue. In 1858, Abraham ran for the United States Senate. The Senate is part of Congress. He ran against a man named Stephen Douglas. Douglas was famous. He was a powerful politician. This led to the famous Lincoln-Douglas debates, a key moment in U.S. political history. Abraham and Douglas had 7 debates. A debate is a formal argument. People from all over came to listen. Abraham spoke clearly about slavery. He said slavery was wrong. He said it should not spread to new states. Douglas had different views. The debates made Abraham famous across the country. Abraham lost the election. But people remembered his words. They remembered his principles. In 1860, something amazing happened, adding to the list of Abraham Lincoln achievements. Abraham was chosen to run for president during the 1860 presidential election. President is the leader of the United States. This was a great honor. But it was also a great challenge. The country was in trouble. The North and South disagreed strongly about slavery. Some southern states said they would leave the Union if Abraham won. The Union means the United States as one country. The situation was dangerous. Abraham ran his campaign with dignity. He spoke about keeping the country together. He spoke about freedom and equality. He reminded people that all men are created equal. This idea comes from America's founding documents. Abraham believed in this idea deeply. On November 6, 1860, Abraham Lincoln was elected president. He was 51 years old. He had come from a small log cabin to the highest office in the land. But before Abraham could even start his work as president, the southern states began to leave. They formed their own country called the Confederate States of America. They wanted to keep slavery. They did not accept Abraham as their president. This was the beginning of the American Civil War. A civil war is when people in the same country fight each other. It is the saddest kind of war. Brothers fought against brothers. Friends fought against friends. The country was torn apart. Abraham became president in March 1861. 1 month later, the war began. Abraham had to make very difficult decisions. He had to lead the country through its darkest time. The war lasted 4 years. More than 600,000 people died. This was more than any other American war. Abraham carried this weight every day. He could not sleep well. His face showed his sadness. But he never gave up. He believed in the Union. He believed in freedom. In 1863, Abraham did something historic. He issued the Emancipation Proclamation. Looking at an Emancipation Proclamation summary, this document declared that slaves in the Confederate States were free. It was a bold move. It changed the meaning of the war. Now, the war was not just about keeping the Union together. It was also about the abolition of slavery. It was about human freedom and dignity. This proclamation did not free all slaves immediately, but it was an important step. It showed the world what America stood for. Abraham also gave a famous speech in November 1863. The speech was at Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Gettysburg was the location of a terrible battle. Thousands of soldiers had died there. Abraham spoke for only 2 minutes. His speech was very short, but his words were powerful. He talked about equality. He talked about democracy. He talked about honoring those who died by continuing their work. He said the nation must have a new birth of freedom. People still remember this speech today. It is called the Gettysburg Address, and the Gettysburg Address significance is known worldwide. The war finally ended in April 1865. The Union won. The country would stay together. Slavery would end completely. The 13th Amendment to the Constitution abolished slavery forever. Abraham had led the country through its greatest crisis. He had preserved the Union. He had helped millions of people find freedom. Abraham was tired. He had aged greatly. But he was hopeful. He wanted to heal the country. He wanted North and South to come together again in peace. But then tragedy struck, leading to the Abraham Lincoln assassination. On April 14, 1865, Abraham went to a theater. He went to watch a play with his wife, Mary. The theater was in Washington, D.C. During the play, a man named John Wilkes Booth entered Abraham's box. Booth supported the Confederacy. He was angry that the South had lost. He shot Abraham in the head. Abraham was badly hurt. Doctors tried to help him, but Abraham died the next morning. He was 56 years old. The nation was in shock. People everywhere cried. They had lost their leader. They had lost a man who represented hope and freedom. The Abraham Lincoln legacy is one of the greatest in history. He was born with nothing. He grew up in poverty. He had almost no formal education, but he never stopped learning. He never stopped trying to improve himself. He believed in hard work. He believed in honesty. He believed in treating all people with respect and dignity. These beliefs guided his entire life. Abraham faced many challenges. He lost his mother when he was young. He lost two of his children. He led his country through a terrible war. He saw so much suffering and death. But he never became bitter. He never gave up. He stayed focused on what was right. He stayed focused on justice and freedom. This is why people remember him. This is why he is called one of the most famous American presidents. Abraham Lincoln showed us that our beginning does not determine our ending. He showed us that one person can make a difference. He showed us that courage and character matter more than wealth or status. His life teaches us to keep learning, to stay honest, and to fight for what is right, even when it is difficult. These lessons are still important today. They will always be important. When we listen to stories like Abraham Lincoln's story, we learn more than history. We learn about human strength. We learn about hope. We learn that change is possible. And as we listen to these stories in English, we are also on our own English learning journey. We are learning a new language. We are opening doors to new understanding. Every story helps us grow. Every story helps us to improve English listening skills. Thank you for listening today, my friends. I hope Abraham Lincoln's story touched your heart. I hope it inspired you to keep learning and growing. If you enjoyed this story and want to learn English online, please take a moment to subscribe. A simple subscription helps us create more stories for you. It helps us continue this journey of learning English together through peaceful, meaningful storytelling. You can also leave a comment below. Tell us what you learned from Abraham Lincoln's life. Tell us which part of his story moved you the most. And if you found this story helpful, please click the like button. Your support means everything. Remember, learning English is a journey. It takes time, it takes patience. But every story you listen to makes you stronger. Every word you understand brings you closer to your goals. Keep listening, keep learning, keep believing in yourself. Just like Abraham Lincoln, you can achieve great things. Until our next story, take care of yourself, be kind to others, and keep walking forward on your learning adventure. I will see you soon with another story. And hey, you don't need to walk miles through the woods to borrow a book like young Abraham did. Just clicking that like button, sharing this with a friend, and hitting subscribe will bring our next adventure right to your screen. And since we're talking about Honest Abe today, I'll be completely honest. It would absolutely make my day. Goodbye for now, my friends.